folks, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia.
I'm Mike Delisio.
And I'm Roy Cannaday.
Welcome to Catchupalooza. This is the first episode in a series that we're going to be doing, as we recently did our top 100 games of all time. And as we went through it, we would talk about games that someone else didn't play. And then that person would say, I should play that someday. And so the idea came out that maybe we should do that. And so each time we do this, one or more of us have played the game, and one or more of us have not. In this case, it's a 50-50 split. So we're talking about Cursed Court, which was on Mike's top 100 and is in my top 110. And Z and Roy had not played it. So we showed them the game and played it. And you already know that Mike and me like the game. We're not going to tell you how the game's played. We have a link in the description to my review of the game. What we want to hear here is the first impressions of Roy and Z, and then, depending on what they are, me and Mike might have to do some defending of ourselves. So I'll start with Roy. Roy, what'd you think?
It was fine. No, I'm just kidding. No. I mean, Cursed Court, it's this deduction game and all. You're trying to deduce where things are, and I think it works well when people are really trying to like deduce and suss that out. A lot of the times I was going off of trying to get cues off different people, but it was really hard. We played at a very high player count, so I think that might skew like your opinion on the game, what the number you play with, because there's different cards and more cards you see or more cards you don't see depending on the player count. But as we played, it was definitely interesting and silly. I enjoyed trying to bid stuff, but man, there was outbidding over and over again. It just felt like when you thought you figured something out, somebody would outbid you something that you couldn't even try to get it back. So it was a very interesting game overall. But I mean, Mike has this in his top 100. Interesting.
All right, what about you, Z?
I am not in disagreement with Roy in many ways. I had two main takeaways when we were done playing, and one was this game is quite slow without a lot of new information feeding into my decisions, if they can so be called. Because I was just sort of doing stuff, because you don't know that much. You can see what people are doing, and you know they know something you don't know. You could go off of that. But there was a lot of, like Roy said, it's not that you, like, you know, the bidding is then, you know, there's a feedback loop with some new something you learn. People bid and they get ousted and you bid. And then after you've done that a few times around the table, you get to see a new card. Everybody gets to see a new card or whatever. And then you do that again for a while. And so I don't know, it felt dragged. It felt like it really was that core cycle was dragged out quite a bit. I also was not a fan of having, 20 bidding chips? And I don't know why. Like, I'm not sure I understand the design philosophy behind, like, if I bid on something and I bid 4 chips, then if someone wants to jump in there, they need to double it. I don't know why that's a thing. Instead of, say, you have 5 chips, and if you want to outbid someone, you need to put more there than they put there. That's way simpler. I just don't get it. You know, you don't want to be outbid, then, you know, put 5 there and you're done. I don't know. And it's like, you know, if you went there with 1, I can go there with 2 and kick you out, but you get your 1 back and you can go somewhere else. Like having a big old stack of 11 chips or whatever, however many chips was ridiculous.
All right, Mike, defend yourself and your pick, you cretin.
That's right.
Whoa.
So, couple of things. Number one is I think you're underestimating the fact that I think the game is supposed to be ridiculous. I really do. I think that there is an element of I'm going all in. I've got this stack of chips. What are you going to do? I will tell you after the first round, Tom, I don't know if you felt this as someone who's played this before, I feel like I already knew that Z and Roy were not feeling it. And I was like, okay, no, this is interesting, because what it did make me do is reevaluate, is the game more fragile than I thought it was? I've not played it in this player count. We played, 6?
We did.
I've not played with 6. I will tell you, the arguments that you were making against the game were the exact opposite of what I would have said about the game going in. I never thought of this as a slow game that dragged. Every time I've played Cursed Court, it is super snappy. Most of the time at the table is smack talking in what I've played it in the past. It's trying to get in people's heads. It's very much a silly game. It's not really one that you were alluding that there's not a lot of decisions to be made. Absolutely not. There's really not. It's mostly about that table presence, that kind of the kind of the alchemy of who's doing what at the table, who's, do they really know what they are indicating that they know, or are they just trying to kind of bluff me a bit over here? I think in a smaller player count, it's more easy to do that. I agree that in the game that we played, which was that 6-player game, there was more bidding and outbidding than I'm used to seeing. And I can see how that might not be the best first impression. I think that this might be a little bit more group dependent than I realize. So I guess what I'm getting at is that if you want to play Cursed Court, just play with a fun group of people.
Actually, Mike, you stole my line. I was going to say the same thing. I was going to say the problem was the players, not the game. No, look, actually, what Z made me think about that 5-chip thing.
Yeah,
I did. That's not necessarily wrong, Z, but I love having 20 chips. I love putting that huge stack on the board. Right. That's fun, and that's part of the entertainment of the game.
Yeah, but you only ever did it after everybody else was done bidding.
Well, you know what, Roy? I did it, and didn't I clearly win? No, I came in last. But the point is, I had fun playing the game, and this is definitely a game that I can see is not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah.
It is. I also could tell when Z and Roy are not fans of games pretty quickly. But I didn't care. Even with all that going on, I had a blast. For me, I am unmoved. I still like this game a lot. I don't even think it's the players. I think the game is going to appeal to you or not. Even if you sat there and said, I'm playing super serious, I would still have a good time because I would try to take your seriousness into account when I'm bidding.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, for me, it's not that I was like in the wrong mind frame or anything. Like I thought it might be a serious game and it proved to be a silly game. I just thought it was a little bloodless, It was, even as a silly game, it's meant to be an uproarious game. Whatever it's meant to be, it felt maybe toothless is a better way to describe it. Because it's like, how much active bluffing did you guys feel like you were doing? Like to actually, just to mess with someone.
See, now that I didn't do. I'm too busy trying to read what everyone else is doing.
I think everybody's doing that. That's not a bluffing game.
I don't care about the bluff. Who said bluffing? Is that Mike?
Mike said bluffing.
He lied.
I think there's a bluffing element. I think in a smaller player count that comes out more, Tom. I really do think that you bluff more in a smaller player count because the game that we all played together was the least amount of bluffing I ever did. I think maybe once or twice did I put out a bid to see if I can draw somebody to bump me off that spot. But in a 4-player game, that happens a lot. Or has in the past.
Yeah, but I don't care. I'm just trying to. If you put something somewhere, I'm saying, well, I'm going to assume that you have seen that card, so I'm going to go there too. That might be a bluff because I'm just going off what you did, but I love that. That's deduction to me. That's why I like it.
I love deduction games. I am a huge fan of a lot of these deduction genre games, but I felt like everybody in the game, every single person was just shooting in the dark. Like there was no real way to tell what was going on. And somebody would place a piece and I'd be like, okay, they probably saw that card. I saw these other 2 cards. So that means all 3 of those are in the game. Majority of the time, that was not right at all, And there's like, no, I just put that piece there just because I didn't know. I just put it there, So it made it kind of
bad. I mean, I never made a dumb move on purpose, Roy. That's what it sounds like you're saying.
I know, but it just felt like it was a deduction game where it was really hard to tell what was going on. Maybe it was the player count. Maybe it's just because, and by the end of each round, almost every spot was filled and like half the players weren't going to get anything, So I feel like I would give this another shot at a much lower player count, see what it played like that. Like Mike says, he enjoys it more at a lower player count so far. I tried at that and see if there's a little bit more of that nuance going on in there. But Mike also said it's supposed to be silly, so I don't know.
Not going to happen. It's going back to the library. All right, folks.
We're not allowed to play.
That's Cursed Court. Now, here,
you
folks.
You had your chance.
Each time we do this, we're going to a different person. So next time, we're going to play a game that Z's played and I haven't played. So that's my turn to be curmudgeonly, or not. Maybe some of us will be won over by this. I think it'll be interesting experiments to see. But at least in the future, when we talk about these games, at least now Z can say, didn't like it when I played it.
It's always good to know, know a new game, and plus I get to learn a little bit about what you guys like, and It's not about whether I like the new game. I have tons of games I like. I get to find out a little bit about you and why you like it, and that way I can plan better for the eventual. Let's not talk about that. But
yeah.
That's a great point. That's a great point, Z. I think that this is a great way to learn about each other's taste better. Yeah.
Awesome.
Alrighty. Well, this will be a show to folks that we'll do on a bi-weekly rate or so. So you'll see more of these come up in the future. But until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia.
I'm Mike DeLisio.
And I'm Roy Kennedy.
And you've been watching Catchupalooza.